I think after this case of MGM, every enterprise company is aware about the moment after the breach, how they can mitigate it. Everyone is thinking about, but how can they be back in business?
The outcome of this means that companies need to understand there is requirement for processes that can help them in case of this kind of a disaster. And what we also seen is people are uncomfortable with even thinking around recovering this identity and access management system. So we believe that training is also part of the change that company needs to go through to be able to react to these kind of events in the future.
Okay. I think they forgot this part because they were focusing on mitigating the risk, but they didn't think about after breach. And after breach is something that everyone was aware about on the on-prem. Now that we are in the cloud, they thought about the SaaS provider will help them to have the business continuity. It is not the responsibility of the SaaS provider. It's the customer responsibility.
We tend to believe in a concept that if we have SaaS vendor responsible for everything, including cases of misconfiguration, for example, undo changes, and that he has the backup and the disaster recovery capabilities in order to support that. This event showed the world that the portion of data within the platform is purely the customer responsibility, and the vendor does not have the tools and capabilities in order to assist in these cases. This makes the entire discussion around business continuity come alive.
The weakest part is the human mistakes. That's the weakest part that everyone is aware about. And in this case, it was root cause of everything. And it's not weakness of the infrastructure.
The underlying fact is that nobody is perfect. Not the system and not the human that operates the system. The fact that things can go wrong, and there are many people that want to find those weaknesses and exploit them. It means that you need to be prepared with the right measures that can help you regardless on how and what they did in your system. Ability to measure your return point objective, which means where can you go back with the data and how long it takes you to get back to business, which is time objective, are critical in order to be prepared for these kind of situations. Having processes, tools, and training for your people to be able to do that is complementary and also required.
Being proactive is, I think, the same that Muli mentioned, to make some training before for those cases with common knowledge on the on-prem world. Now that we are in the cloud, I think it was forgotten, and they are not doing the training for disaster recovery plan as they had it in the past. So being proactive means that you need to be able to back up your data and to be able to recover from that golden copy that you should have, as you did it in the on-prem world. That should be the approach.
In addition to having a proper backup of your data, we need to make sure that this data is untouchable by the attacker. This data needs to be constantly checked, being able to be recovered, and you should have the appropriate processes in order to use it in case of a disaster. So it should be accessible, and it should be usable when the time comes.
Implementing accents in a few clicks, everything is done automatically from that point on.
I think that what we see from customers that approach us is big concern on the health industry, which is both regulated but also privacy issues and responsibilities to take care of. We also see and think that there is a major gap in the customer identity area, which is less mature than the workforce category, which is at the moment less discussed but it's a very big gap in business continuity using third-party tools like identity management, which is embedded within your SaaS product. Having that as a sole directory, holding all the identities, is something which is dangerous, and we believe that require tools to be able to back up and copy the data to an external secure location.